Alright, we are watching Medical Goose, who's going to be playing Diva on Circuit Royale and a little bit of Risa in the second half. So, Medical Goose is Silver 3. This is on PC, Circuit Royale, as I think I just said. This is the first season that I've seriously grinded comp. Welcome. I felt like I was improving for a little while in the beginning, but I recently feel like I really hit a wall. Any and all advice is appreciated. Okay, so I've already seen this replay, or a good chunk of it. We're going to be only looking at the first half, which is defense, and then we'll jump to the very end of the game. We can talk about the very last fight, which you did wrong. But I think since you're new to Overwatch, I think probably the most important thing I want to emphasize in this game is playing the right tank for the situation. So in this Circuit Royale map, right? So let's just talk about Circuit Royale real quick. Circuit Royale is known as like one of the pokiest of maps, right? So if you are not familiar, the general types of compositions there are in Overwatch are broken down into Brawl, which are like really good close range teams. So for example, are like Reaper, Reinhardt, Orisa. And then you have poke teams, like teams that do really well at distance, so like Sojourn, Ashe, for tanks, Sigma is the most common poke tanks. Then you have Dive, which are heroes like Winston, Genji, Tracer, right? People who can go in really quickly and jump onto the enemy. And then there's sometimes Rush, which I think of as like the faster version of Brawl, right? They typically are not as strong once they get up close to you, but they can close the distance much quicker. Junker Queen, Reinhardt, Lucio, things like that are considered Rush. So in this map, Circuit Royale is considered a poke map, right? And that means it's very, very poke favored. Can you run Brawl? Can you run Dive? Can you run Rush? You can, but it's not great at them. And very commonly at the high ranks, you'll see Sigma almost exclusively played at Circuit Royale because of how strong it is for it. Well, why is it good for poke? The reason being is they're very long sight lines, okay? So imagine if you're playing Reinhardt and you're just standing at this corner, okay? And you're like, oh, I'm doing my job on defense. I'm trying to stop the enemy team from advancing. And I play Sigma, and I just stand here and I shoot you. What happens? Well, after like 5 or 6 seconds, you need to leave because your shield's going to break. And then when you leave, where do you go? Well, there's not really anywhere else you can really go, right? You can go into this room, but the problem is then I can cut you off from your team and then kill you, right? So that room's no good. You can go over here, right? Which is fine because then I can just continue pushing the cart and I just stand here and I spam you, right? You can retreat all the way back here, but same problem, right? I just stand a distance and shoot you and shoot you and shoot you, and eventually you're just forced to fall back. So long sight lines are very, very strong for poke lineups because I can play at distance, right? Sigma has this 22-meter range for his attacks. He can stay 22 meters away from the Reinhardt just shooting you all day, and you just can't do anything because your swing goes like 3 meters. You just can't reach the Sigma. And in some other maps, there's the ability for you to like close the distance rapidly. There's a lot of cover to use. Circuit Royale is not like that. Okay, this first point, very, very pokey. And then when you reach the second point, it's somewhat pokey. I think that Dive can work here because there's a verticality element to it. Dive is usually good at vertical maps because they have the mobility to go up versus Brawl usually does not, poke usually does not. So in this situation, you can kind of do that, but like the thing is, once I get over here, it goes back into a poke favored lineup, right? Because I can just stay at a distance and just spam you down. The only place to play Brawl is if you hide behind this, but then you give us so much space, then you come out and there's no line of sight for your team to help you, etc., etc. Lots of problems. Same thing, right? Once I turn this corner, lots of long sight lines, I push in, lots of long sight lines, push in, lots of long sight lines, push in, and push in, and push in, and push in all the way to the end. And this is why Circuit Royale is known as being a very, 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 very poke favored lineup. Map. So, why does that matter? Well, let's watch how this game plays out. Right, you're going to start, and you come out at the beginning. They're playing Ramatra. Ramatra is a combo poke / brawl tank. He can do both depending which form he is. When he's in Omnic form, the mage form of the staff, he's a good poker. Not great, but good. And when he is in his punchy boy mode, right, Nemesis form, then he's a decent brawler, right? Not the best brawler, not the best poker, but good at both, which is why he's flexible and a really interesting tank to play. So in your scenario, you're going to stand here. And what's Diva? Diva's generally known as a dive tank, right? Dive tanks are known for being able to close the distance rapidly with the enemy because they have mobility abilities, and they have really good burst. When you first enter a fight, you're like very strong, okay? Diva plus her missiles, that combo does 215 damage per second for a second and a half. That's crazy. You can kill a 200 health hero in less than a second with no headshots. Right? It's like very, very, very strong. But the problem is, as soon as your missiles are over, you become a relatively weak tank. So that's why she's known as a dive tank. You dive in, you kill someone quickly, and then you get out, or you take that pick and you snowball it into a fight win. The problem is the enemy team's not going to let you do that. So let's watch how this plays out. So you're getting spammed out here. You hold Matrix, which is fine, right? They're spamming you out. Again, they're playing a poke lineup, right? Look at they're running Soldier, they're running Junkrat, they're running Ramatra. They're just attacking you from really, really far away, okay? Now use missiles. This is not a great use of missiles because it barely does any damage at this range. It technically does the same amount of damage, but like it's hard to hit anybody, and if you can't focus someone down, it doesn't stop them from doing anything. By the way, you see the Vortex in the center of your screen right here. Always eat Vortex. Vortex is a very long cooldown, powerful ability. You should always eat Vortex. So you shoot them, and the problem here is the damage you're doing right now is insignificant. So let's imagine you're shooting the Junkrat. Let's say the Junkrat stands still, okay? Literally just stands still, AFK, looking at you. At this distance, because of damage fall off and spread, with perfect aim, like an aimbot aim, you're only going to do like 30 damage a second, 30, 40 damage a second max. So that's like basically irrelevant, right? The healers can easily heal through the damage that you're doing. So this is not a good distance to be playing. This is a much better distance to play. At this distance, you're probably doing 80 damage plus consistently. At this distance, you're doing like 140, 150 damage, no missiles, right? Just the guns. You're doing 140 damage plus consistently. So what I'm emphasizing here is going from here to here basically doubles your damage, and going from here to here increases is like quadruple the damage of where you are right now. So that's really important. D.Va is actually a short range tank. Okay, I know it looks like she has guns, but they're actually shotguns. So you really need to play much closer than you think you need to. Otherwise, you're not having any impact. If you don't do any damage, the opposing team just keeps walking over you. So what's happening? You're already down to half health. But notice that you're down to half health, okay? You're clearly giving up space. You're backing up because you're getting low. Notice that nobody in the opposing team is low at all, right? This is representative of the fact that you're not putting any pressure on the opposing team, okay? If you were right here in their face, hypothetically, let's say there's no shield here, okay, you'd be doing a lot more damage and they'd be forced to like slow down, right? If the Junkrat tries to attack you, you can blow them up with missiles or your guns or whatever it is, it slows them down at least. But out here, you're not slowing them down at all. Like they literally don't care about your damage because it's so low, so this far away. And they're just constantly spamming you over and over and over again, right? Junkrat keeps firing grenades. You DM when you can. I don't know that DMs are so helpful. DMing itself is like its own art to explain, but it's like hard for me to explain it in a short form video. And then you come over here. This is a good idea, right? Standing high ground right now. This is good, right? I like this. You see how you're able to get closer to them and attack at an angle that they can't really deal with you well? This is good. The problem is your team is getting forced way back because of all the space that you've given them, right? All that spam damage is accumulated and forced the whole team back. You see that the Echo right now is nearly dead, right? She's got 16 health playing way in the back because of how much more spam your team is taking than their team. So you go over here, a lot of your missiles hit the lamp, which is really not so good. So Ramatra pops, Nemesis form, you're down to half health. Again, notice that nobody in the opposing team is low. Okay? And you just lost your Kiriko right now, but even if she was alive, it wouldn't matter. Like, you just can't stop this lineup. Like, they're just walking over you because you're not playing the right tank for the situation, okay? You're playing dive, the opposing team is playing poke, but they have the ability to stay outside of your dive range, and your team can't dive with you. So you're ultimately really, really ineffective here. And that is why you're going to lose this fight, right? You land down here, you're trying to like slow down the cart and stop, and like I understand your general instincts here are like generally the right idea, but without the right hero and the right resources, there's just no way for you to stop this, right? They just keep pushing over and they're going to kill you, and then you lose the fight, okay? Again, up until now, nobody on their team even got low. Junk dies somehow. Oh, he gets hit by the Echo. That's a good play by the Echo, right? But like other than that, like only until now, when the fight's already basically lost because you have no health and you're already down 2, okay? By the time this Echo dies, this fight's already over. The Junkrat dies, right? Mercy goes for the res for some silly reason. This fight's already over, right? Even if Mercy lives here, like, you are not going to win this fight. Even if the Mercy gets the res and survives, I still don't think you win the fight. I think the Ramatra just plays at a distance and just walks you down. So this is something that's really, really hard to learn in Overwatch when you first start playing, right? I mean, I don't know how long you maybe play Overwatch for years, right? But you just start playing comp. Like, I still consider you new to Overwatch. You need to learn situational play, right? Very, very important. You need to recognize, hey, Circuit Royale, what could they possibly be running? Well, poke is very common. Can I play dive into this? If I look at my team and I'm like, I'm running Cassidy and Echo, right? And everyone's playing really far away, I can't run dive into that. Like, if they run any sort of poke tank, like Sigma or Ramatra, I just lose. Like, I even if I was playing D.Va in the situation, I don't think I could win this game. Right? Because I don't have the right tank for the situation. Very, very important, right? And of course you could say, oh, how do I know what the right tank is for the situation? That's incredibly complicated. I will post resources like links to my Diva guide, which I think will be very helpful, my general list of tank gameplay guides, etc. There's a lot of resources out there for you, but there's no way I can explain all of it at once. So we're gonna come out here again. As a reminder, you do like no damage right now at this distance. So you're gonna rotate down to stay in front of your team. I think this is generally okay. The problem is Diva is not a good face-up tank. Okay, if you're kind of playing like a Reinhardt or Racer would, which is like, hey, just stay between me, like my team and their team, and I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna do something. The issue is that they don't have to attack you, right? They can just attack the Echo. Like if I'm Cassidy, for example, like they don't actually have a Cassidy, but if I'm Soldier right now, I can keep shooting the Echo. Like you're not stopping me from shooting the Echo right now. You know what I mean? Like, I can shoot the Echo for free at this moment in time. You could DM, but you only can buy 3 seconds of time, and then it's over. Versus if you're Reinhardt, you can hold the shield, and that'd be more helpful. Or if you're just running into the opposing team, that creates way more space. So, what could you have done differently here? Instead of trying to go in between the teams, is that you could go down here, apply this off angle, and for example, missile and attack the Ramatra, and suddenly be doing 250 damage per second to the Ramatra. That will force the Ramatra back, right? I guarantee you, you stand right here, you missile him, and shoot him, he's gonna have to go backwards. Then the whole team focuses you, then you pop Matrix, right? And then you sit behind the cart or go over here, right? And then you try to play out as long as you can until you get resources back and keep going. That is how you could play this, but standing in the middle lane doesn't actually do anything right now. Again, notice how the opposing team totally ignores you. See, no one is looking at you right now, right? No one's looking at you, no one is shooting at you, and this is usually a really good indication that you're not doing your job as a tank. There are 5 people here, none of them care about you because you're not doing any damage, right? You need to be going, again, finding a target and bursting them down, and I'll also include a link to my Diva burst guide. It's very quick, it's like 2 minutes long, right? Essentially, you boost into the Junkrat, bump him while you activate missiles, and then you just kill him instantly, right? Literally, you'll kill him in like 1 second. So, way better than attacking the Ramatra here, where the Ramatra's never going to die. Right? See, you go, but the problem is now you go too late, right? You go when you have less than half health, and you have no Matrix, and you have no missiles. There's no chance of you killing anyone right now. Right? All you do is you jump in, and you immediately use your Matrix up, and you're like, oh wait, that's not going to work. He's going to pop Annihilation. For the record, Annihilation does almost no damage to tanks. It does 30 damage a second, so tanks it's negligible. Like, who cares? 30 damage a second is somebody meleeing you nonstop. You can completely ignore the Ramatra ulti and do whatever. The problem is you're super low from everything else, so you're going to lose your mech anyway. This fight's already lost. Again, this is a situation where there's not a lot, like, by going middle lane, you already basically threw the fight right away. You gave your team 0 chance to win the moment that you went into the middle, because now you're not applying any pressure to the backline. Versus if you came in the side, you could apply some damage, right? Again, look for an opportunity to burst down your next boosters plus missiles. Wasting missiles here is really bad, and of course things just get worse from there. All right, rest of the game is more or less the same thing, right? You're playing at distance. Like, this is not a good distance for you to be shooting someone. Again, distance here, 30 damage a second. Shooting this soldier from here, like 50, 60 damage a second. But if you were standing here, the soldier dies in 2 seconds. Very, very important, right? Don't just shoot the enemy to shoot the enemy. Think, can I kill this person? And that is a very, very important skill to recognize as a tank. Just because you're a tank doesn't mean your job is just to distract people, right? Your job is to get kills. Like, you create space by threatening to kill enemies. That's what forces them back. If you aren't a threat to kill them, they don't back up, and then you don't create any space. So you go in. Again, the combo is all right. I'm going to guess that you just don't know the combo at all. Just based on watching this gameplay, I think watching that literally 2-minute clip will be extremely helpful for you, and you can just practice it in deathmatch or against bots or whatever. But it's going to be more the same, right? You're going to pop bomb here to try to keep alive. I think this is okay. The problem is you really should die right now. So the Ramatra has 1 punch and a melee. You can melee with Nemesis form, believe it or not. So 1 punch and a melee instantly kills you right now. There's no reason for him to not have killed you. I think that is quite the mistake by the Ramatra. In general, I would never use bomb this close to them unless I thought I was going to die anyway. Like, this is not a great situation. You should have tried to, like, chuck the bomb in with boosters and then run around the corner. If you watch my Diva guide, I explain at least the basics of how to throw bombs that I think might be very helpful to you. So you get mech'd, then you remech, and then again you just get walked over. Right? It's like the same general theme here. Is you're standing at a distance where you can't really do anything. You go in right now despite the fact that you have half health. You really need to reset, right? Go back. You have 2 supports right now. You could have reset back to your supports and gotten healed. You're fighting 3-on-1. I know the Mercy got low, but like you're gonna lose your mech, and once you lose your mech, the fight's over, right? The Ramattra alone is gonna carry this fight from here. See, like at this point, who's gonna stop the Ramattra if you're dead? Nobody, right? He's gonna walk over and he's gonna kill everybody. All right, I'm not going to continue with the rest of the gameplay. It's going to be like the exact same thing, right? You stand basically straight ahead of the enemy. You shoot them from too far away. You don't execute the missile combo to kill anyone. You don't apply enough damage to the opposing team, and then you just get walked over, right? That's just kind of the same thing over and over and over and over again. So watching just at the end of the game, let's just talk briefly about the very last fight in the game. So you're coming out of spawn right now. Actually, before then... Alright, you're coming out of spawn right now, you just died, your team is clearly staggered right now, you have 2 people who are still dead, you have 27 seconds on the clock. Okay? So with 27 seconds on the clock, you don't need to force this fight, right? You just saw that you lost another one, right? We just saw that Kiriko died. You would have seen that in the top right, and you would have heard that death sound, hopefully. You see your Echo is out here, you can use spin to get up here faster, your Echo is clearly dead. At this point in time, it is a 1, 2, 3 on 1, and granted, like, it's Baby Diva form, but like, winning a 3-on-1 as a Risa when all 3 of them are very thin targets and there's 2 supports is basically mathematically impossible. I think even if you had an aimbot here, as long as the supports keep healing each other, it is literally impossible for you to heal them, or to kill anybody in this situation. So the correct call here is to turn around and just sit at the corner and then wait for your team to regroup. You have 20 seconds, which is a long time, right? People will respawn, then people will walk all the way out here, and that'll give you about 5 seconds, and then you run up to the cart, and then you can touch it at the last second, and then you fight. But at least you have a full team there to fight. Versus right now, like, you have no chance at winning this fight. I could already tell, like, from the very beginning, you have no chance of winning this fight. Right? Again, notice nobody is even getting below half health. Like, there's no chance that anyone is going to die right now. And, to make matters worse, right? So you popped Fortified there to try to keep yourself healthy. You know, you're down to 300 health, you're down to 250 health, right? Now you're spinning. You see the Bastion's in tank form out here, right? Assault form right here. Bastion does 350 damage per second, which even after your Fortified reduction of roughly half, then that's still 175 damage a second. You're still going to die. Like, even if all 4 of these heroes were not here, the Bastion alone will kill you at this distance. Like, literally just the Bastion is going to kill you here, right? Like, you die so fast. You did not have to do this, right? Even after you went in, right? Granted, like, after you do this, it's like a waste, but like, you could have just like stayed on the cart and tried to like LOS the break line of sight of the Bastion a little bit, to, like, try to buy a little bit more time. You can walk into this room, come back out, tap the cart repeatedly. You got some options here that are not just running into these people and try to pop the ult. There's no chance that was ever going to work. Okay, so again, recapping. I really think that you should watch my D.Va gameplay guide. At the minimum, I think you should watch my D.Va burst kill guide, which is very, very short, right? It's literally like only 2 minutes to understand how do you kill somebody on D.Va, right? If I put a 200 health hero out there, do you know how to kill them in less than 2 seconds? If not, you will never be able to climb out of, let's say, low gold on D.Va. It is like a very basic aspect of her kit to be able to execute that combo, and you never even try to do it, as far as I can tell, during this game. Like, you use your missiles and boosts like independently of each other versus together, right, in a synergistic way. So number one, that. Number two is I would focus on understanding the right distance to be shooting as D.Va. Like, if I'm standing here as D.Va, I don't even bother shooting. Like, I literally, whatever I'm going to do, I just do something. Like, I try to close the gap, right? I, go this way. This would be kind of weird, but I could go this way. I could fly above them, right, and then start shooting down. I could fly to this room and start shooting. I could do a lot of things, but at this distance, I wouldn't even bother shooting because it's not going to do any damage. And it slows you, right? So I'd rather walk. If I had no boosters, I would walk up here and then start shooting at, like, this distance. Again, this, way too far away. Even this, probably too far away. This, okay. This, right, good. This, great. Right? Get up in their face as D.Va. You do a lot of damage up close. Like, way more damage than I think you realize if you were up close to people. You'll easily outdamage Ramattra, for example, right? Ramattra, for comparison, only does 80 damage a second in Nemesis form, 100 damage a second in Omnic form. Your guns, no missiles, just guns, right? Just guns, no headshots, does 140 damage a second. So you do 40% more than Ramattra does, with your guns than he does with his staff, and you do almost double his damage when he's punching. And then when you add missiles on top of that, you do literally 3 to 4 times as much damage as Ramattra does, right? Plus headshots. So again, very, very important as D.Va to recognize how quickly you can kill people at close range. And of course, the last thing I would note is the right engagement distances. Okay, or sorry, not engagements. I already talked about that. Compositions, right? Maps. Circuit Royale, right? Circuit Royale, Junkertown are the two most common played maps for poke. Very, very long sight lines, not good for dive. Generally, not good for brawl as well. Is it possible to play on those maps? Yes, it is very possible, right? I think that Orisa or Reinhardt still here would have been fine. I think Orisa's also sort of pokey. I think Orisa would have been fine here. Way better than D.Va would be, right? And of course, if you're like, hey, I can't play those heroes well, because I saw that you listed, that you played those other heroes, which is why I mentioned them. But if you can't play those other heroes, that's fine. If you want to be D.Va one trick, you can be a D.Va one trick and get all the way to GM. I'm just noting that you're going to have a much harder time winning games on those maps, as if you're playing like a tank that doesn't match what the map is giving you, right? Tanks are so map dependent, so map dependent as to like what you can play on the map. All right, I'm gonna stop there. Hopefully this was helpful.